You're tuned to the Nowhere Signal. What you're about to hear was never meant to be found.
The Odyssey 7 dropped through the upper layers of atmosphere with a soft tremble, smooth for a landing this far from Earth. Beyond the cockpit glass, the sky churned in a burnt-orange haze, as though locked in perpetual sunset. Commander Hale narrowed his eyes at the surface below. "Status check," he said calmly. His voice, crisp and practiced, cut through the quiet hum of the control deck. "Landing gear deployed," replied Lieutenant Reyes. "No atmospheric anomalies. Pressure normal. Oxygen traceable. About 71% Earth standard." Hale nodded. The world beneath them was a mirror of Earth, same curvature, same size, same continental formations, but with subtle wrongness. No movement. No clouds. The ocean reflected no light. The cities had no lights. And the entire surface glowed with the amber of a sun neither rising nor setting. When the Odyssey 7 touched down, the landing pad stirred up a swirl of fine gray dust. The texture wasn't quite right, more like ash than sand. Hale stepped out first, his boots sinking slightly into the soft terrain. "Smells like nothing," Reyes muttered behind him as she removed her helmet. The landscape was uncannily familiar. A city stretched out before them, buildings with worn-out windows, cracked streets, rusted light poles. But no signs of life. No birds. No wind. No hum of electronics. Dr. Sora, the team's planetary analyst, knelt to examine a roadside flower growing through a crack in the pavement. "It's an exact genetic match for Earth flora," she said. "Down to the cellular level." "How's that possible?" Reyes whispered. Sora didn't answer. The crew moved forward slowly, scanning, collecting, recording. Street names matched those from Chicago. The layout of the city blocks mirrored downtown Detroit. The storefronts bore English text, though faded by time. There was no decay, no rot, no mold. Just disuse. And the sky remained unchanged, an amber curtain stretched endlessly above. "Feels like time's been paused," Sora murmured, gazing up. "Or looped." Hale didn't respond. He was staring at a parking meter that had long since run out. The numbers blinked midnight, yet it was still ticking. Backward. Inside a building labeled Jefferson Public Library, dust coated every surface. Yet the books were untouched. Open. Waiting. Lieutenant Reyes picked one up, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. The dedication inside read, "To Marisol, see you at twilight. Love always, A." Reyes's face paled. Her full name was Marisol Reyes. And she hadn't told anyone that. Commander Hale's calm buzzed in his ear. It was Sora. Her voice trembled. "Sir, my reflection in a window, it moved before I did." He froze. "Repeat that?" It moved. It turned around. And it smiled. The channel went quiet. In the distance, the sun or whatever passed for one held steady in the exact same spot on the horizon. Neither rising nor setting. Just waiting. The crew reconvened at the center of the city square. An open plaza surrounded by cracked statues and silent fountains. Dr. Sora sat on the edge of a dry basin, her eyes distant, her hands shaking slightly. "It wasn't my reflection," she said again. "It looked like me. It was me. But it did something I didn't." "No sign of interference," Reyes said, checking the comms scanner. "No projection, no light trick." "There's a frequency," Hale muttered. "A low hum. Constant. Listen closely." They did. And there it was, barely perceptible. A low, looping tone that droned beneath the silence like a heartbeat beneath a floorboard. Hale's wristwatch had stopped. So had Sora's. Reyes tapped hers, it ticked, but only when she looked away. They split into pairs. Reyes and Hale took the western blocks, filled with what resembled suburban housing. Lawns were overgrown in a uniform way, identical heights, identical angles of lean in the mailboxes. A child's tricycle lay toppled in a driveway. The tires still spun, despite no wind. They passed a playground. On one of the swings, a photograph. Reyes picked it up slowly. It showed three astronauts in full gear, her, Hale, and Sarah, posing in front of a craft that wasn't the Odyssey 7. The date at the bottom read, March 17, 2084. Welcome back. But today was March 16th. Sarah explored the eastern corridor of the city alone. The sky was starting to dim, not as in nightfall, but in saturation. The twilight hue shifted slightly redder, as if watching her. She entered a diner. The bell over the door jingled. On the counter, a slice of pie. Fresh. Warm. She backed away slowly, heart thudding. Then came a whisper, not outside, not inside, but behind her ears. Sit. Eat. Stay. She ran. Hale and Reyes found an elevator shaft in the center of what looked like a transit hub. The elevator doors were closed, but when Hale approached, they slid open without power. Inside was a mirror. Not just reflective glass, an actual copy of the world behind them. In the mirrored version, they were standing, but Reyes's mirrored self was looking right at them. Then she turned and walked away. Back at the city square, Dr. Sora returned with something clenched in her fist. She held it out to the others. It was her own ID badge. From a mission that never launched. I think we're not the first ones here, she whispered. I think we've always been here. The city's western edge was lined with high-rise buildings, many with mirrored glass exteriors that warped and rippled in the low, amber light. Reyes stood before one of them, squinting into the facade. She raised a hand. Her reflection raised its hand half a second later. She tilted her head. The reflection tilted back, but not quite the same way. As if mimicking, not mirroring. And then only then did it smile. Commander, Reyes said over comms, I think we need to regroup. No reply. She repeated it. Commander Hale, copy? A faint static came through. Then a voice, hers, but not hers. Commander Hale, copy? Her own words echoed back to her, but slightly warped. Drawn-out syllables. Cold. Like an old recording degraded by time. She turned in a slow circle. The street behind her was still. Abandoned cars lined the sidewalk. A flickering street lamp buzzed above, one of the few with any power. Then she noticed it, a silhouette in the third-floor window across the street. It was her. Meanwhile, Hale had entered a grocery store, or what remained of one. The lights inside were dim, powered somehow by an unseen source. Cans lined the shelves, all labeled with Earth brands, Campbell's, Del Monte, Kraft. But every barcode had been scratched out. Every expiration date read March 17, 2084. He stepped further in, and music began to play faintly from the speaker above. It was an old jazz tune. Ella Fitzgerald, maybe. Then came the voice again. The same voice Reyes had heard. Welcome back. Try again. Hale turned, and for a moment, he thought he saw himself walking past the end of the aisle, head down, hands clenched. He ran to catch up. No one was there. Dr. Sora had returned to the library. Something about the place pulled at her like a splinter in memory. She traced her fingers along the rows of books. All Earth titles. Some she'd read in childhood. One book stood out, Time and Again by Jack Finney. She pulled it from the shelf. Inside, someone had annotated nearly every page in handwriting that matched her own. She flipped through the final chapter and found a sentence underlined 3 times. Time is not a path, it is a room. You are standing in it. Beneath that, scribbled in red ink, don't leave. She stared at the ink for a long time, then turned to the mirrored window nearby. Her reflection didn't stare back. Instead, it pointed behind her. She turned around sharply. Nothing. Reyes ran up the staircase of the building she'd seen herself in. Third floor. Corner window. As she reached the top landing, she stopped. Her breathing slowed. Her heart hammered in her chest. A hallway stretched before her, longer than it should have been. Dozens of identical doors lined each side, every one labeled 3B. The light bulbs above flickered in unison. She reached for the door nearest her. It opened before she touched it. Inside stood Reyes. Same uniform. Same face. But her eyes were wrong. Like they'd been staring at something far too long. "I thought you'd never come," the copy said softly. Reyes stepped back. "What are you?" The copy tilted its head. "Don't you remember? You've done this before." Then it began to cry. Silently. As if grieving something unspeakable. Reyes ran. Commander Hale stood in the plaza again, watching the fountain bubble up thick black water. The reflection in the rippling surface showed him surrounded by the crew. But in the real plaza, he was alone. He bent closer. The water stilled. In the reflection, his team stood silently behind him. Then, one by one, they turned and walked away. The crew regrouped near the base of what appeared to be an old transit station. A slanted concrete entrance jutted from the ground like the mouth of a bunker, its glass doors shattered and its interior swallowed by shadows. Reyes arrived last. Her hands trembled as she removed her helmet, revealing sweat-soaked hair and a pale expression. "We're not alone here," she whispered. "No," Hale replied. "But I'm not sure if it's them or just us." Dr. Sora was already scanning the stairs. "This used to be a subway. Or it looks like one. Maybe the signals are coming from below." Reyes nodded. "We should go down. If there's any pattern to this, any control center, any tech, we'll find it underground." They entered, one by one. The descent was endless. Each stair creaked slightly underfoot, though the entire staircase appeared to be made of smooth stone, not wood. And with every level down, the ambient tone grew louder, the hum they'd heard earlier, now clearly structured. Pulsing. Looping. A pattern. It wasn't just noise anymore. It was coded. A sign above the next landing read, Level 3. Storage and signal room authorized personnel only, but beneath the printed text, a second line had been scrawled by hand in what looked like thick charcoal, "You're already authorized." Hale led the way through a rusted metal door. Inside, long-forgotten monitors blinked to life as they entered, though the screens displayed no data, just the reflection of the crew, standing motionless. And then the reflections began to move, just slightly off. In the reflection, Reyes stood to the left, not the right. Dr. Sora held something in her hands she didn't in reality. Hale's eyes were closed. "What are these showing?" Sora whispered. Hale moved toward the control panel in the center. "Feels like surveillance." No, Reyes shook her head. "These aren't cameras. They're observers." She pointed to one of the screens where her mirrored self stared directly at her. "She's watching me." A low chime echoed through the room. Then, something unlocked. A section of the wall slid open behind them, revealing a dark corridor that hadn't existed moments ago. Light flickered down its length, barely illuminating a series of rooms labeled with their own names. Room 1, Commander Hale R1-2, Dr. Sora Menon R1-3, Lieutenant Reyes Aberi Sora moved forward. "Why are there rooms for us here? We've never been here before," Reyes muttered. "Maybe not in this version," Hale said. They each stepped into their rooms. Inside Hale's, a desk with papers. Mission logs he never wrote, entries dated months ahead. On the far wall, a mural of Earth, but slightly off, continents subtly different, oceans the wrong shades. Inside Sora's, a hospital bed. On the bedside table, a medical file listing her as deceased from radiation exposure 2 years earlier. A mirror on the far wall showed her reflected image. Blinking slowly, mouth moving. Whispering something she couldn't hear. Inside Reyes's, a video loop playing on a cracked monitor. It showed her boarding the Odyssey 7 alone. No crew. No launch pad. Just silence and her own face, numb, tired, staring back through the screen. Suddenly, the hallway lights began to flicker violently. A mechanical voice echoed through the PA system, "Mirror shift incoming. Prepare to align." The hum in the air became dissonant, like grinding metal submerged in water. Hale burst back into the hall. "We need to go. Now." Sora and Reyes followed, sprinting through the station as the walls around them shimmered like heat haze. Doors melted into solid slabs. The sound of distant footsteps echoed, not their own. From above, a thunderous crack. The floor tilted slightly, as though the entire planet shifted on its axis. They emerged into daylight again, but the sky had changed. Still twilight, but wrong. The sun was there, visible, but frozen at the edge of the horizon like a glitching simulation. And around them, the city was different. The same buildings, arranged slightly out of order. Windows in places there shouldn't be windows. Statues facing the opposite direction. Reyes turned in a full circle. "This isn't where we landed." Sora pointed behind them. "Look." Their landing pod, the Odyssey 7, was there. Crushed. Caved in. Old. Covered in dust. "How?" Hale whispered. Reyes stared in silence, then finally muttered, "We didn't just mirror, we shifted." They stared at the wreckage for a long time, none of them moving. The Odyssey 7, their vessel, lay half sunken into cracked pavement, draped in layers of dust, as though abandoned for years. Sora approached it slowly. Her glove brushed across its surface. The mission emblem was faded. The serial number was wrong by 1 digit. "Is it ours?" Reyes asked. Sora squinted. "It's almost ours." "I think we've landed here before," Hale muttered. "Or a version of us did." "Then where are they?" Reyes asked. Sora turned. "You saw the rooms. The recordings. Maybe they never left." They wandered through the mirrored city. There was now a fog rolling in, not from the sea or the mountains, but from everywhere. The buildings were the same shape but wrong in design, materials mismatched, proportions exaggerated like someone remembered them incorrectly. Then they found the statues. 5 of them. Each one frozen in motionless bronze, standing just outside the mirrored town hall. But these weren't generic figures, they were people. Each of them wore spacesuits. One was unmistakably Reyes. Another looked exactly like Hale. "They immortalized us?" Sora asked. "Or they repeated us," Reyes said. "Slightly off. Like bad memories carved in stone." Hale stepped closer to his statue, eyeing the placard beneath it. The inscription read, "To the one who stayed." But when he looked again, the words had changed, "To the one who returned." Night never fell. The sky just rotated in color, orange to purple, then back to orange again. Time in this world was cyclical, not linear. They wandered deeper into the mirrored city until they found a radio tower, tall, humming, blinking red like a heartbeat. Sora tilted her head. "This is the source of the hum. The signal." They entered a control center beneath it. Inside, dusty panels hummed faintly. The walls were lined with clocks, hundreds of them all ticking at different rhythms. In the middle, a console. A blinking screen. A terminal. Hale approached. The display read, "Mirror sync in progress, NEXT shift IN, 17 minutes and 23 seconds, we're on a timer," he said. Reyes started flipping switches. "Let's stop it. Force it to desync." Sora shook her head. "What if that traps us here permanently? What if this is us, just a version trapped on the wrong side of the mirror?" The console chimed. A new message appeared, running backup. "Restoring original copies." Then, in red, 1 seat remaining. "What does that mean?" Hale asked. The countdown continued. Suddenly, lights flickered overhead. A door hissed open. In stepped Reyes. Another Reyes. This version looked older, tired, eyes sunken with wear. She didn't speak. She only looked at them and smiled faintly. I wondered when you'd get here, she said softly. Who are you? Reyes whispered. Does it matter? You'll be me soon. She walked past them, moving toward the console. I stayed once. Got too curious. Now I help them keep the cycle going. She gestured toward the clocks. Every copy that stays powers the next mirror. But you've almost timed out. If you want to leave, she pointed to a door in the back. There's only room for one. Silence fell. Reyes, Sora, and Hale stood in a triangle, hearts racing. We can figure something out, Sora said. There's nothing to figure, Hale replied. Only one goes back. The rest become memories, the other Reyes said. Like me. She stepped away from the console. The clock ticked. 0:03. 29 3 minutes and 28 seconds 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Hale lunged first, but Reyes caught him mid-step. They struggled for a moment, then paused when they saw Sora already walking away. I'm not going, she said. I don't need to. What are you talking about? Reyes said. Sora's voice cracked. I died on the real mission, didn't I? Radiation exposure. That was in the room. No, Hale whispered. I think I'm already gone, Sora said softly. This was my version. The countdown continued. 1 minute and 11 seconds 0:01. 10 Reyes turned to Hale. You're the commander, she said. Maybe this should be you. No, Hale said. You're the better survivor. Another flicker of light. Another chime. The other Reyes was gone. Without a word, Reyes stepped into the final chamber. It hissed closed behind her. A light blinked green. Transfer complete. The room trembled. Mirrors cracked. The clocks began spinning wildly, hands flying forward and backward. Sora and Hale turned to each other. Then the world turned inside out. Reyes awoke in the Odyssey 7. The real one. It was silent. The sky overhead was black, filled with stars. Her crewmates' seats were empty. No bodies. Just 2 suits. She stepped outside onto Earth's surface, clean, normal, solid, and felt sunlight on her face. She heard birds. And far in the distance, the echo of a voice. To the one who returned.
The Nowhere signal will return tomorrow. Until then, sleep light.